Storage has been reworked to follow a more set size for objects. Before, objects were practically randomly sized, so some things were 9,999 and some things were 1. With this new system, they will follow a set pattern. Backpacks have a different carrying capacity. Backpacks and satchels can carry 28, duffels carry 40, and bags of holding can carry 200. From smallest to largest in storage, there's tiny, which weighs 1, small, which weighs 2, normal, which weighs 4, large, which weighs 8, huge, which weighs 16, and there's ginormous, which you cannot put in a backpack no matter what you do, because backpacks only accept huge, so they pretty much don't have a size. Due to this standardized weight system, there are now things you could do like actually carry EVA suits in a backpack. Also, with this rework, there is now slot-based storage, and that is used for things like utility belts. As you can see here, it will say slots 6 out of 7, for example. So as long as an item fits the whitelist for a utility belt, so for example, it's a tool, and it is under, if it's in its normal size or under, you could put it on there. So like if I wanted to put a gas analyzer in there, I could, no problem. And due to the fact that it's just a slot-based system, it's pretty simple. There's a little weird things you could do sometimes, like experimental research suit is normal sized and is whitelisted on the belt. It is a new system, is being tweaked and tested at the moment, so there will be some oddities, but the more you report them, the more these things will get fixed. Drinking blood will now process into uncooked animal proteins, which will then process into proteins, and for lizards and, well, non-humans in general, that will actually help you recover from hunger and thirst, and proteins do a little bit of healing. The uncooked proteins in humans will do a slight bit of poison damage and will not convert into protein, so you cannot get the minor bits of healing from it. Non-human species will benefit more directly from these uncooked animal proteins. And as you can see, I vomited because it is not compatible with humans. Cargo bounties have been fixed / nerfed, however you want to look at it, where you can no longer just duplicate bounties. So for example, this 7 lime one, if I would have turned in 28 limes in 4 separate boxes, I would have made $80,000. So cargo on certain ones, especially like this lime one, for example, could basically print unlimited money, and now that has been limited to you can only do 1 bounty at a time. But still, $20,000 is a lot of money. You can now craft improvised explosive devices. All you need is an empty can, an igniter, add 30 units of welding fuel, a screwdriver, and 5 low voltage cables. The igniter is the most tricky part to get, but scientists have easy access to it. But you can also probably get one from a Vendomat if no one else has taken them. Those are typically in public areas. You can also get them on the Robotech Deluxe, and that's why I mentioned scientist. So once you have it, all you do is you pick it up, you press Z to arm it, it makes like a burning countdown sound, and it makes a 3x3 explosion, but it does do a decent bit of damage to structures. If I examine, they actually took 90 damage, which is quite a lot. Obviously, they don't have any explosive resistance, but that is a lot of damage to do for something that is not too hard to make. But due to the fact that it's only a 3x3 explosion, you're going to have to be pretty precise with throwing it. The Anomaly Synchronizer is now part of Advanced Anomaly Research. It is a Tier 2 experimental research that costs 10,000. And what it does is it is a big pad that you basically put underneath an anomaly, and it lets it send out signals. You can set it up for like a device configuration, so I can link it to this airlock, for example, and if I wanted to, I can make it so anytime that it's pulsing, for example, this is just a random example, I could pulse this, I can make it so it opens this door, for example, or toggle the door. Obviously, the more useful things to do would be link it to an ape, and anytime it is growing is probably the most useful. You want to turn it just to toggle, and this lets you completely 100% automate dealing with them as long as the ape is correctly set up. So for this anomaly, I want it to be on epsilon to contain it, so you just want to select type epsilon and lock it. And so now anytime this anomaly starts growing, it will automatically turn on and it will stabilize it. And as soon as, in order to make this more consistent, when a anomaly is stabilized, you want to swap it to off, for example. So the way it will work is that it grows, it'll turn on. As soon as it hits stable, the stabilized part will trigger and it'll turn off. And this will let you automate anomalies entirely without having to worry about them. The only thing that can happen to them at this point is sabotage. And I just let it pulse. As you can see, it didn't trigger any of the conditions, so the ape did not fire. Anomaly cores have been added to the game. When an anomaly supercriticals, it will leave behind its core. As of right now, it's just for money, and they lose money rapidly after they turn into a core. As you can see, the value already dropped in real time, and they eventually would drop to the point they are considered inert and only be worth $200. There is more coming to this system, but it is not quite in game yet. Portable fission is a tier 3 industrial technology that unlocks microreactor power cells. It is also on the same tier as blue space storage, but they don't compete for each other. They're both just tier 3s, so you can get both. Microreactor power cells require 5 steel, 4 glass, 2 uranium, 1 gold. They're not super expensive for what they are. What these do is they are a rechargeable standardized microreactor cell, has a lower capacity but slowly recharges itself. So like, for example, if I put in this lamp would basically stay on forever because it will recharge itself. And you can figure out why it's useful from there. For example, like putting in a Borg would be nice because then the Borg would stay charged. And, well, it's up to your creativity how you want to use these. Smoke now properly transfers reagents. So, for example, there's sulfur in this beaker. If I make smoke out of it, it will transfer that sulfur into my body directly. So you have to be quite careful if you're mixing this at a chemical dispenser. You probably want to save this for the grenades. Notice boards have been added to the game, and what they are is they basically let you write like something on a piece of paper, for example. This would be really good for the chef to take a special request, and you can just stick the piece of paper in the notice board, so that will let somebody like the chef be able to take the paper later and fulfill your order. Really nice for the chef, especially the chef, to keep things organized and make it look more like a ticket system at like, I don't know, like any line cook would see. Roaches have been added to the game, and that includes both the moth roach and the cockroach. Nothing really too special about them. They're just little critters that go around eating, but it's nice to have some visual variety for the different creatures on the station. Also, there is the Glock Roach, which is an ad meme event, and I quite like the Glock Roach. Blue-blooded creatures, such as arachnids, now require copper instead of iron to restore blood, and yes, the Brute Trauma Kit has actually been updated to include these copper pills by default, so there's nothing to worry about. New keys now have access to the Syndicate Visor, and that lets you see your teammates at an instant glance because they'll have the S above their head. So you don't have to worry about friendly fire at a quick glance, especially in like a darker room or just in a chaotic situation. Should help prevent team killing just a little bit. And just by the way, it is not flash resistant, so you're going to want to keep your gas mask on. Thieving gloves have received a pretty major buff. You will now no longer see the bar above the person's head, period, if they're stealing from you. So they can quite literally take the jumpsuit off your body, and you won't know until you're completely naked. Radiation shutters now actually block off radiation more effectively. So if I come over here, you can see this is spitting out 3.7 rads, which is quite high. And on the other side of the shutters, 0. It is completely safe here. And that is the last thing I will cover. As always, I want to give a big thanks to our maintainers and contributors for keeping the game up to date and just bug-free and polished. And the full patch notes for everything else that I may not have covered will be in the comments and below in this video or on the Steam page if you're viewing it from there. Thank you for watching.